we are delving right into the post-tea session. And we now move on to the second power panel of the day on impact of SDVs on workshops, operational and business readiness, OEMs and aftermarket, best practices in tech, SOPs, infra, skilling, processing, VOC. And to do the honors, let me bring forth the most amazing man. I met in the morning, greeted him, and I've been meeting him year after year, and it's always such a pleasure to see him here. Mr. S. Muralidharan, Chairman, Mobility Aftermarket. Sir, may we have you here on stage? Welcome, sir. Namaskaram. He is an engineering graduate from IIT Kharagpur and MBA from IIM Bangalore. Mr. S. Muralidharan has headed various companies like Bosch and Lucas India Service and seen as an automotive aftermarket expert at global level. He is currently the chairman of Mobility Aftermarket, chairman ASPA, and in the board of several global multinational companies. He's also an advisor in IITs like IIT Palakkad and cohort chair of IITstartups.org, having worked extensively with startups including at G20 levels, and he's one of the early WAF award winner as well. Proudly presenting Mr. S. Muralidharan. Welcome, sir. Always sharing the best smile with me. Thank you so much, and it's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us. Next, I would like to bring forth Dr. Kumar Iyer, Commercial Director, ASC Southeast South Asia, AkzoNobel, India. Welcome, sir. Namaskar. Dr. Kumar Iyer is an auto industry veteran, worked in former ICI R&D, drove launch establishment of COBRA, that is Clear Over Base Coat Rapid Application, and further Autocolor 2K brands of ICI India Limited, worked with DuPont Industrial so as to set up their industrial business, headed Coestro business in Thailand. Did I pronounce it correctly? Okay. And then Pidilite Industrial Division before joining AkzoNobel as RCD in November 2024. He's one of the renowned industry names in the automotive sector and has always driven by par excellence and relationship management. We are absolutely honored to have you here with us, sir. Thank you so much. Next to bring forth is Mr. Satish Kannan, Director AfterSales, Stellantis India. Sir, welcome, sir. He is a senior automotive industry leader with over 2 decades of experience managing after sales, customer service, and service operations for major auto brands. He brings a powerful mix of business insight, leadership acumen, and people-first sensibility. His professional journey, culminating in a senior leadership role at Stellantis India, has graced him with deep insights into service operations, customer experience, stakeholder management, and business strategy execution. Ladies and gentlemen, happily presenting Mr. Satish Kannan. Welcome, sir. Next, let me give you Mr. Arindam Lahiri, CEO, Automotive Skill Development Corporation, ASDC. Welcome, welcome, sir. He is a passionate professional with a career spanning more than 3 decades. The initial decade was spent in the manufacturing sector, followed by 2 decades of experience across all domains of education and training. He started his career with Maruti Udyog, received global exposure at Honeywell Inc. USA, and had an entrepreneurial stint as director and co-founder at Career Launcher India. We are absolutely delighted to have you here with us, sir. Thank you so much. And where is the drill gone? Thank you for obliging me yet again, my lovely ladies and gentlemen. Next to bring forth is Mr. Jatin Tiwari, Head Field Service, Hyundai Motor India. Welcome, sir. He is a seasoned automotive customer service leader with over 23 years of experience and currently heads field service operations at Hyundai Motor India. His expertise spans multiple domains including technical support, export service, service planning and strategy, service marketing, network development, customer experience management, and field service. Recognized for his data-driven leadership and strong people focus, he's passionate about leveraging digital capability and innovation to build future-ready service operations that enhance customer delight and, of course, business performance. Ladies and gentlemen, happily giving Mr. Jatin Tiwari. Next, I would like to bring forth Mr. Dimple Mehta, former head customer care, Tata Motors PV. Welcome, sir. He is a BTech professional and a customer-centric leader with 30 plus years of diverse experience in automobile sales, after-sales, network development, parts operations, used cars, CRM, and P&L management. Known for greenfield automobile startups, he brings strong analytical and organizational capabilities and global cross-cultural exposure. Welcome, sir. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us. And by now, this chemistry should have evolved. But anyways, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. And here is our esteemed panel. And I would like to hand it over to Mr. Muralidharan, who is also the chair and moderator for this one. Sir, over to you now.
Thank you. Your introductions are so elaborate and so that it makes a person feel as if he's sitting on top of the Qutub Minar. Now my first job is to bring them all down to earth. And that will happen the moment they see the clock out here. SDV. Ilu kya hai? SDV kya hai? It's that kind of a term. We'll analyze or mention various aspects of that by giving people about 2.5, 3 minutes as an introductory round. The takeaway which is expected at the end of the session is a deeper understanding of what is there, what are the issues, so that we know that this is what we need to address collectively for our workshops in, say, in the span of a year. The context. The 95,000 crore Indian automotive market, which always goes through changes, is going through the change called technology. A retailer has a UPI. A dealer makes payment through various apps. The salesman has his own app. The mechanic scans a barcode to get a company incentive. The warehouse manager has a set of drones to check whether the correct part number is collected. The transporter is connected to various GPS, including Google. The manufacturing shifts from IoT to Industry 4.0. The level of technology change in the aftermarket across the value chain is something which is unprecedented in an economy like India. Let me throw some data points. The 330,000 vehicles on road, approximately, has 77% two-wheelers. But the potential of this in aftermarket, if you take 15-year block, this potential is 3x more than what it was in the earlier 15-year block. If you break up this 15-year block into parts pre-COVID of say 3-4 years, that's about 30-odd%, 35%. The COVID period of 17, 18, 19, 18, 19, 20 is about 20%, understandable. But the last 5 years, which is basically where the servicing comes to the workshops, is about 45%. One more data point. The last 5 years is when the technology has exploded, that you even have telematics on vehicles. So the VOC word there, voice of customer, goes all the way to the manufacturer. And it is birth of these technology on vehicles, be it telematics, be it Google kind of navigation, be it infotainment, be it multiple EDCs, 25 average EDCs in any vehicle, any car on the Indian roads, has given birth to the term software-defined vehicles, leading to a thought that just like software controls your handphone, the day is not far off when software would control, define, personalize your vehicle. And therefore, SDV. To kick off with a company's experience, we'll start with who else? Tata Motors. Sorry, Narula, it has to be Tata Motors.
I have no regret.
No. Yeah. Dimple, over to you. I've primed you up.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I think it's always a pleasure to be here. I missed last year because of some issues I had at home. But it's been like a couple of years I've not been here, but it's always a pleasure to interact with everyone who's like here. So I had a short stint of working on the SDV part of the vehicles, because you would know that the recent launch, Harrier EV, is like one step towards the SDV, and also there's a bit of it which is also existing on the EV vehicles. So the question still remains that how do you really engage, or how do you really think the transition of the after sales will happen with it, right? So we were working on that, like Tata still has one good thing is that, Tata Elxsi is on board, Tata Technology is on board, so they have everything in-house, plus some consulting firms which work with us over the time. Large part of the focus still remains on the, how does the vehicle work, what features, ADAS, other things which are there. But one thing which is coming out very clearly is that there will be a bit of a challenge, like when you have this SDV, how do you inculcate that knowledge into the people who are going to handle it, right? Though it is technology, it's easier to handle also because you'll have diagnostics available. But the challenge is our manpower still ready for that? Though it is a bit far away right now, it's progress at the level 1 or level 2, but it's still not reached. And the target would be like 2028 or 2029, when you'll have almost every vehicle will be the SDV-based vehicle. And still people don't understand it. Okay, I'm also like trying to understand it wherever I work, like how does it really work out there. But there's a lot of thought process in which the way it is progressing there also, right? Where all the teams are working together. And Harrier EV is one of the products which you would see that is the most progress on the SDV aspect of it. And there's a platform which the parent company has built up. There's a cloud hosting which is there. So all the companies have come together and started working on it. Still the question is like, when this happens, when you know the diagnostics is online available, when you know that you can solve a problem right down sitting anywhere remotely also, and as it progresses, though it's also that the number of various components used, or the, let's say the ECM use are going to drastically reduce, and it'll be like all clubbed into one, but then it also makes life more complicated, right? And plus the aspect of managing it, though consumer centric, it's pretty good. Everything is like very spick and span neat in a small place, rather than having multiple components to diagnose and solve. It makes life easier for diagnostics, also online diagnostics, and also remotely correcting it too. But we need to make sure that in the coming times we are able to, engage our manpower, which I feel is not yet ready. There are only few people who really understand it, though the teams are working together to make sure that it is there. Like one step is already there with Harrier EV, and all the new platforms which are coming in all the vehicles in the future are all going to be based on this architecture. Slowly and slowly it will all transit over there. And I think the work is really progressing well. And I still feel that too nascent in the stage of after sales. What happens to the revenue modeling? What happens if there are no visits to the workshop? Which is a question still to be answered. I think you would definitely get something, because you'll have a need-based software upgrade which will give you a revenue or a subscription model which is going to be there. I'm not going to talk about that much, because our other panelists would also speak about it as they are specialists into those lines. Thank you.
The key point, I can diagnose sitting in Tata Motors office in Pune, but the parts will still have to be changed of a vehicle in Salem. This is the conceptual difference. And do I have somebody who knows how to diagnose it in Pune? And based on the diagnosis, can somebody do it for a vehicle in Salem? Jatin, Hyundai?
So, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jatin Tiwari. I represent a company called Hyundai Motor India. And it's an honor to be a part of this forum again. And I would like to just focus my whatever time I have been allotted to speak on how, once you have software-defined vehicles, how you really need to scale up the same in the workshop network that any OEM has. So we have been fortunate because we are a part of a very big group called as the Hyundai Motor Group, and that gives us access to a lot of technology, the best technology and how it can be scaled up. And we also have access to a lot of connected cars. So we were probably the first company way back in 2019 to launch the connected car. And we have happened to take the game further upwards this year when we launched the new Hyundai Venue, which is sort of a overall, we call it the first software-defined vehicle which we have developed in collab with even partners like NVIDIA. So having said that, scaling up the entire dealer network, we have always used a simple three-step strategy. First is the tools, second is the talent, and then the third one is the mindset. So I'll spend some time one by one on how, and this is not probably something which we can do only at our end, but it is basically for the industry overall. So in terms of tools, as your software-defined vehicles, or let's say high-tech vehicles, keep increasing, you need to really make the workshops standard even more high in terms of the diagnostics. So earlier, probably let's say even now or probably 5 years back, any workshop when we come to talking about scan tools, they used to have maybe one or two in the entire workshop, maybe 3 in the entire workshop. But now the time has come that almost every car needs to have a scan, be it for a routine maintenance, be it for a running repair, or be it for any workshop visit. Because more and more software is now running on the vehicle. Most of them are now through centralized controllers. So we need to ensure that how those work in the best condition. So we have gone about improving the number of diagnostic tools that are available at the dealerships, and we are going towards a scenario maybe within the next few years that even every technician will be having their own scan tools with their own dongles, with their own tablets, so that they can do the job very, very effectively. It gives us two clear benefits. One, when every technician puts, let's say, a dongle on the car, the data is captured and it is used by the OEM, by ourselves to further see how the vehicle is performing. The second benefit of every technician using a tab and a dongle is what was discussed in the first panel today, how to improve the productivity. Now, there was a discussion that productivity can be improved when we measure what the technician is doing. Now, this goes on in very, very different types of formats. Every OEM uses. Somewhere in some dealers it is implemented, somewhere it is not implemented. We are trying to bring in technology there. That how using this capability, we can, at the end of the day, the dealership can also see what their technicians are actually doing, and the same data is also fed to our OEMs whether we can also see that the level of training that is required to further skill him towards the software-defined vehicles, and overall as how much time he's taking to service the car, and so on and so forth. Now, once you scale up the tools, because it's a digital model, so you need to also see about the security part, whether the tablets that we are using, the phones the mobile phones which the technicians are using or the advisors are using, are they secure enough? So that is somewhere we are working closely with our company, and we continue to do that. Similarly, there was a discussion on the ADAS calibration, jigs, and so on and so forth. So it's a part of the scale-up. The second big strategy that everyone needs to scale up is on the talent. So now technician, I guess, has to evolve from someone who listens to the car and diagnosis to somebody who sees the data and the diagnosis charts and has to understand what is going on. So we have a very, very comprehensive, and the industry needs to have a very, very comprehensive training mechanism which cannot only be at OEMs. So we are trying to scale up, involving our dealer partners. Even some of our dealers we have authorized to train the technicians on the behalf of everybody. So the technician obviously has to learn more, and similarly from the advisor. Advisor now is moving in a scenario where from somebody who's recommending oil changes, he has to recommend how and see how many OTA updates have to be done, how many software updates has to be done. So the entire journey has to be followed. And the last and the most important part is the mindset. So the technician, we have to, as a OEM, as bigger dealers, as dealers, we have to ensure that we handhold, coach them, and take them along in this journey of technology and AI. Somewhere it is always asked this question that will AI and will all these EVs will replace the technician? The answer is no, they will never replace. But yes, the technician who knows AI, the technician who knows technology, the technician who knows EV will definitely replace the one who is not having the willingness to upgrade. Similarly, same goes for the advisors. Similarly goes for the workshop heads itself. Workshop heads also need to evolve their thinking from just somebody who's overseeing the repairs of the car to somebody who plans better on the basis of data. So yes, tools, talent, and mindset is something which is needed for upscaling the automotive aftermarket of the OEMs, and then of the aftermarket also, to really take care of the customers in this era of software-defined vehicles. I hope I have done justice to your question.
You've done justice. The way you said the three things, I thought you'll almost say Brahma, Vishnu, Shiv. It's in that context. But there are some good best practices. Satish, you have more than your fair share. Can you share some of them?
Good afternoon everyone. And first of all, thank you for this opportunity for being here. Today's morning session on efficiency and productivity was very interesting, and could learn a lot from that session today, because that is one area we always have a problem in any workshop. So before coming here, I was traveling to all my dealers in Delhi for the last 2 days. And any workshop I went, I always found that the cars were stuck up, and productivity and efficiency is always having a problem, right? So today's morning session has given me certain important inputs to me to learn, which I have taken today. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for that. Coming on to this digital world, yes. Customer leaves the car, customer takes the car. That's what he was doing maybe 15 years back, 10 years back. Today, but the customer also wants to know what's happening in the car, in between. So that's where the digital revolution has happened, and the transparency has increased to all the customers in whatever we do at the workshop. If I go back to my days, as what Jatin said a few minutes ago, if I go back to my days, we use CDs to update the software, then pen drive, then links on email, and then the connected systems. Now it is remote diagnosis. I'm glad to also share that yesterday we repaired a EV battery in Nepal through remote diagnosis from here. So that's how the digital transformation has happened in this world in automotive industry. So we have but the customers also today wants the most trusted internal system. Even you and me today, if we come to know some information, we go to the Google and check whether it's authentic, whether the information told by the person is right or wrong. But those days, it was either a blind trust by the customer or no trust by the customer. But today, even if there is blind trust or if there is no trust, we still can make the customer to trust. So that is something which we have developed a system called video check, where the technician, if the car is inside the workshop, while the customer dropping the car, is not able to physically check certain components which have failed. While the work is going on the vehicle, the technician takes the picture of that component which has failed or the video of the component which has failed, creates a folder and sends it to service advisor. The service advisor further analyzes that and then sends it to customer through a link. Now when the customer clicks on the link, he understands that the component which has really failed or not. From today's, with the customer's knowledge what they have, they are also able to analyze on the spot and also give approval immediately. So this has started working well, has increased transparency, and this also gets recorded for 10 years in the system. While the customer can tomorrow, if he has rejected today, if he comes and says why my part was not replaced, there's a clear proof to say that, gentlemen, you have rejected it, that's why we did not do it. And also we can say that the customer, you have approved it, that's why this repair was done. It has also created the highest satisfaction, transparency, finally the responsibility. May it be the service advisor, may it be the technician, may it be the customer. They are responsible for their actions, what they have done, as it is getting recorded everywhere. That's one of the transformations we had. So, like today we have a cost estimate, we have a appointment digitalized, we have a real-time check, everything together, even the repairs, except of doing physically on the car, has become digital to take the approval from the customers, which has created more transparency, is what I will say. Thank you. Thank you for
Satish.
the opportunity. Thank you.
It's not an opportunity. You're spreading knowledge. There's two OEMs who spoke about how they're deploying from concept to the field, a best practice all the way to Nepal with the help of digitization. But there's one more aspect which you tend to miss, and those are the component manufacturers. And some are specialist component manufacturers. Yeah, Kumar?
Thank you, Mr. Murli, actually. First of all, I'm Dr. Kumar Iyer, and I'm representing AkzoNobel Coatings. As you must be aware, AkzoNobel is among the top 3 global companies which is working on paints and coatings. When the topic was given by Vivek and Murli about software-driven vehicles, actually, the thing which came to my mind for this particular panel discussion was, how do I create an understanding between a software-driven vehicle and the roles of paints and coatings, which are used not only when the car is produced, but also when the car is at your body shop doing this work of service. And I had to go back to my R&D days. I'm a doctorate, so I had to go back to my R&D days to dig out data, talk to my R&D colleagues and some OEMs to really come out with certain points for this particular discussion. Now, when you talk about software-driven vehicles, actually, we all know about ADAS. ADAS has already come into the market in India, and although it's only available in the premium cars, or certain OEMs only really make it a marketing point to talk about ADAS. Software-driven vehicles actually are going to rely very heavy on digitally controlled systems, advanced sensors, connectivity, and sometimes over-the-air updates. That means the entire car is going to be controlled through a program, okay? And actually, this is really terrifying, and it is also something which is really advanced. But I can vouch for you by telling you that globally, this is the buzz right now. You have most of the European car producers, even the Chinese car producers, and to my utter surprise, even the Indian OEMs, especially Mahindra, Hyundai, Tata, they've all started looking into exactly how do they come out with a software-driven vehicle. And that is going to come in, whether it's 2028, 2030, or 2035. Now, when I talk about radar, I talk about lidar, I talk about sensors and all this stuff, we need to understand that this is going to change the entire demographics on how the car will be bundled out into. You will have sensors which are placed below the bumpers, on the grills, you will have connectivity systems which are going in. So the quality what is going to be used in the manufacturing of the car, especially from a paints and coatings perspective, will undergo a sea change. Okay? We need to look at how do we bring in low level of metallics because they should not interfere with the signal, or we need to have optically high degree of clear coat, which has high clarity because the radar transmissions have to be accurate enough because we are leaving entirely to the system to operate. So one angle is on how the softwares and stuff are getting developed, but once they are installed in the car, how are they going to be coated? And the next part is that if they're going to come for a repair work at your body shop, then how are you going to address that? Because you're going to have sensors, you're going to have battery operated systems, which require different set of arrangements of coating materials. So there's going to be a change which is going to come in. Of course, the classical refinishing touch-up jobs are going to be there, but there are certain systems which are very important. Let us say, for example, EMI shielding sort of a paint, which controls the conductivity in a certain way, or a thermal management sort of a coating, which it helps in the heat dissipation of a battery, which is there inside the car. And that's also true for an EV manufactured car today, in the way it's going on right now. So whatever advances we are talking about from a software-driven vehicle is a reality. It will come. We already have started seeing certain glimpses of that through ADAS. But when I say software-driven vehicle, actually it's something which is totally remote controlled. You can monitor the car from one end to other end without having to do anything around that part. But the interesting complication which comes in is the OEMs are investing a lot of money into it right now. And the OEMs are investing and they're pretty serious about coming out with these cars. And once these cars come out on the road, it's the consumer who is going to look at it from a large benefit perspective. What all we are gathered here, at the end of the day, we should not forget, it's the consumer who's the king, the car owner who's the king. So I would say that we do read upon this to a large extent because the way a body shop is being designed right now is at the nascent stage. And how do we address challenges around software-driven vehicles as a later stage? If you're going to make your investments in the times to come, you need to take into account on how this is going to be. This is going to be more driven through radars, lidars, whatever you want to talk about, actually very advanced systems. And I think your level of technicians, the understanding on how to go about the repair of the car, how to go about repainting the car, repainting the panel, will also undergo a sea change. And I can only tell from my own internal experience is that largely all these things have to come together and we need to start building up, understanding, educating the market slowly because it's the responsibility and what we owe towards the customer or the consumer at the end of the day. That's my short summary. Thank you.
Thank you, Kannan. The key phrase was, this is reality on the ground today. Body shop, independent aftermarket, garage in Bangalore has a robotics to control the painting of the car. And we always said when labor in India is so cheap, why do we need sophistication? But the reality is there. Robotics, controlled by software, which is just what he explained. So if there's one, it's not too far away when you'll have about 100. But whenever there's a technology change of this level of magnitude, the words attitude change, mind change, all these words start coming up. So the ball finally lands up on training, which is to the gentleman on my right. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, WAF, for making us part of this because I was so happy, when the discussion started this morning with panel 1, the first point that came up from the floor was about skilled manpower challenge that the workshops face. And this is the biggest and I think one of the most critical points that everyone here in this room faces almost on an everyday basis. So, existing technology, skilled manpower itself is a big challenge. And we are talking about a future and an emerging technology of software-driven vehicles. will obviously pose the next level of challenge as to how do you transition some of the existing workforce towards that, and how do you bring in new workforce who is already kind of trained and oriented with this kind of a technology. I'll just add a third dimension to it, is that while we are all very fascinated about the changes in technology that are happening, I think one of the things that we have to always keep in our mind is the change that is happening in the minds of the human. The newer generations that are coming and how they think is also changing, because they are being exposed in a very different environment. And one of the areas which personally I am very keenly glued on, because that's my research area, is the evolution of the gig workforce. In India, it is estimated that around, in 23-24 data, is about 77 lakh gig workers that are working in this country today. And the Niti Aayog report states that India will move to about 2.5 crore gig worker by 2030, which is expected to jump to about 7 crores by 2047, which is the Viksit Bharat timeline that the government has set. Now, what does it have to do with what we are talking about in terms of this workforce? Is the fact that we can't work with the older or existing mindset that there will be a guy who will join us and who will give their entire day to our job requirement in our workshop. There will be a lot more freelancers that will work in this space, and they will become specialists in each of these areas. And this is what one of these areas is. And also, I think what, we just got to hear about fixing an EV battery in Nepal sitting here, and while we have all been, who've been in technology, we have all known about SCADA and all of this, but today's connectivity is actually making us work from wherever we are. So it is not about, do I have the person required in my workshop, or do I know the person in my network who can fix this wherever that person is. So my HR strategy will also have to move towards that. The important thing in the minds of youngsters today is moving from a job security, which I think many of us in our generation were highly bothered about, that do we have a job security? Do we have a job? To people now, younger people thinking about a concept called skill security. Do I have a skill which secures my future? And therefore they will learn that skill if you make it enough aspirational for them to learn it. So if an SDV mechanic is much more well paid and much more sought after and has a long-term future, surely more and more people will learn about it. But if you kind of, as an industry, if you try to make it that, oh, this is something which will be like how you used to change your tires, and I'm not demeaning that, but I'm just saying that as a matter of fact, because all of us are very comfortable with that, it may not work with this new generation. So it is very important to make it aspirational. And as an industry, we need to show more respect for our skills. Respect for skills is very important. I know a lot of OEMs does their skill championships, for instance, with their network. How can we make it more known? And can we bring some of these champions to forums like this, where they come and talk about what skills they have learned in their journey? I think we should just come and sit here and listen to them rather than we coming to the stage and talking about all of this. Because they are the ones who are doing it. And we need to bring in them. So for Anuj, my request is in next year's session, if we can get some of these people to come and one panel discusses that about their journey, their learning, their transformation, I think we will all go back much richer than we talking about it. Thank you very much.
Excellent points. I want to, just like for painting and robotics, I want to mention one thing here about skilling. Skilling exists in our industry, in the marketplace. Skilling exists for software in the marketplace. It may not exist in your garage. The same garage mechanic, car owner, updates his iPhone to 26. The laptop is updated. The McAfee keeps sending you updates and charges you for it. The society knows this. Teleoperators remain. On the phone, they give you instructions what to do. Telemarketing people keep calling you. Society is aware of remote. The mindset changes. Does for example, Bosch service dealer, Lucas service dealer has a mechanic whose mindset has to change, or as manufacturers we say, I will get the guys who know software into our system. Make the skilling into my system. That is a mindset to be changed. And same for the tools. Why have mechanical tools? We have the software upgrades. Have the software guys make these tools, or have the tool manufacturers have these digital additions. Change the business model could be the need of the hour. We'll pause now and throw it open to the audience, either for remarks, best practices, or simple queries. Over to you. The first person is always difficult, so I will pause for 5 seconds, otherwise I'll point tables. Yes, remarks, questions, observations? Yes, thank you.
With so much of electronics and software coming into the vehicles, subject also being software-driven vehicles now, and we expect the technicians, the supervisors, service advisors, or even the workshop heads to be able to handle this technology. Doesn't it require much more effort now in this specific area towards training? Because so far, whenever you see that people are being trained, they're being trained in the repair of transmission, or repair of engine, or repair of, all the various systems here. But now it is becoming much more than what it used to be earlier. And people need to understand what the software is, people need to understand how it operates, and some basic knowledge to be available for people to appreciate what exactly exists in the vehicle. So it's not basically a question; it's a little suggestion only. Sitting on this side of the forum, I think we need to work more, whether it is through ASDC or through OEMs. That requires much more appreciation of the software part of the vehicle or electronics part of the vehicle. Because the way I understand now, the vehicles, some of the vehicles have as much electronics in them as maybe even an aircraft.
True. We take that as an observation, and I think we'll park it. There's no doubt when you have 25 ECUs in a car as opposed to one EDC, say 5, 6, 8, 10 years back, and telematics is the order of the day, there's no doubt a complete retraining is needed, complete skilling is needed. But my point, I repeat, the society has it. It has to be brought into automotive. People do repair laptops. They do repair mobile phones. We do have telemarketing, which gives you instructions. Does it come into the automotive space is the challenge.
I would also go one step behind is maybe ITIs should also be
fully agree.
Working on, because
ITIs and even diploma, degree, all those will have to change, but a lot of this will have to be driven through the industry. like, at some point in time in ITIs also, the industry got involved and they brought in what is exactly required. So that is something which will be required. Second, I think, as Murali sir has been saying, is that if we look at other electronic, items which are there, durables or consumer electronics, a lot of repair diagnostics is also done by the system itself. So when maybe about 2 years back, I had a laptop fan changed. It's actually on my screen, it said that your fan is not working and it will need to be changed. So I just called up the customer care center and said that I need an engineer to come and replace my fan. So I had already done the diagnosis actually as a customer. And what I needed the help of a technician was about who knew how to do that process essentially. So some of these also will evolve in vehicle when you have a central software architecture, which will throw up what is actually wrong essentially.
Yeah, I think to be honest to you, you hit exactly the bullseye. I think the most important thing for all of us to take forward is the awareness part of it, that what is really changing actually. And the second most important part is how do we really adapt to that change? We have seen a lot of technology change in our generation today, right from the mobile phones to laptops, and we are getting into electric vehicles now. Government is pushing it, and a company like NVIDIA is now bigger than the India GDP in terms of manufacturing sensors and others actually. So that this is going to come, okay? And for us, it's very important that the quality in these vehicles will be much higher than what it is when they're using an ICU engine and what type of repairs which happen today. And it's important that we have this done very early. And I think everyone needs to come together right from the OEM to the entire network which is working around that part. So that's my clear understanding.
Just one. So although the initiative in having more software SDV in vehicles is commendable, but how is the industry response to in terms of if there is hacking or somebody takes control of the vehicle outside or the sacrosanct of the data of the vehicle? Is there a common evolved standard of the industry being set, or every company is to its own? Because that can become a concern if big companies can be hacked. I mean, we heard Jaguar thing.
There are two parts to it. First is there an industry concern about it? No, there isn't. Very, very few countries in the world have cybersecurity as laws for prevention. They have laws for, once it has happened, they have laws for punishments. There are not enough cybersecurity laws anywhere in the world for prevention, at across, even for space. Third, next level is companies patent many of the parts, so it becomes a bit more trickier to do. Companies also integrate, a point he briefly touched on in connected cars. Once you have a lot of these ECUs talking to each other, it becomes incredibly difficult for one person to hack the entire system. That's actually a lot of this can be explained by software engineers. None of us are software engineers to that extent. But nonetheless, a headline statement, cybersecurity is a topic. It's a huge topic, especially when you're storing cybersecurity not of the software parts between the ECUs, but as the data. My data of car usage usually lands up being stored in a cloud somewhere. It need not be stored only in my hard disk. The moment it goes out and gets stored in a cloud somewhere, the probability of data hygiene becomes extremely suspect. And I'll pause at that.
We are generally in safer hands. Only data is something which we'll have to be careful on.
No, I don't know if it's safer hands. I wouldn't like to know how many cars I drove with, how kilometer I drove, and what is the size of the tire which got replaced. Because once you're getting into software, I mean, it's like Google search. And Anuj told in the morning, you type World Auto Forum, the first thing which comes out. Tomorrow they'll type Murali and it'll come everything about the car he has used. I don't want it to be hacked to such an extent, right? So there are levels of data security. Cyber security is a crime, but there's no industry standard yet. You want to say something on that, Jatin? No, okay. I saw somebody raise his hand in the back, or maybe, no? Yeah, there was a person.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Abhishek from Radiosist. I have a question specifically.
Can you come forward, please?
Yeah.
We can't
I
hear
have a
you
question
too
specifically. With the current new SDV vehicles coming in, new age vehicles coming in, what do we think? Will it cannibalize the current workshop ecosystem or it will complement? For what I see, it'll bring a challenge to the current OEM specific dealership network, and where OEM sales are driven through these dealer networks. So the motivation might went down, because as a revenue model for these OEM dealers, a big chunk of their motivation to take a dealership for these OEMs is to take care of their workshop business. But I see that with things getting solved at there remotely and everything, this will cannibalize their business. So one is that, do you think it will cannibalize or not, or will complement? And the second is, if it is cannibalizing, has the OEM seeing it as a challenge, or they are ready to bring in certain sales channels, and how do they develop the alternate sales channels?
I've got a hang of your question. I can have one full-fledged panel discussion only on the topic you mentioned, and I'm sure it will happen. But to break it into two parts. First, the parts which get replaced, the OEMs will still have it, or the main manufacturers will have it. Bosch, Lucas, Minda will have it, and the OEMs will have the parts. The parts is not the issue here. The software which controls the movement becomes the issue. And once that happens, he summed it up excellently. As a user, I may self be diagnosing. So the distinction when it comes to software ECU may not be OEM versus independent versus roadside. The differentiation is, do it for me or do it yourself. That would be the differentiation. Third, OEMs controlling data is a topic even in Europe. CLEPA has made representation that data hygiene, this. I don't think the OEMs is ever going to release data for aftermarket. Obvious reasons. He wants the customer. He doesn't want to develop a component manufacturer, right? So there are three levels. But for the people here, there should be a reassurance that finally the parts, it could be a nut, it could be a fuel injection system, it could be a nozzle, that part remains. The part doesn't go away. And that needs a garage with 17, 19 spanner. So, and that part, material flow via a company like Bosch, via Maruti, MGP, Tata Genuine Parts, that part, that is a perpetual discussion. Partly solve your problem?
Yes. So it is going to complement, it's going to remain.
Fully solve the problem. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, I am told that the time is up, so I will. Any comments? Any comments? Any comments? Okay, so I think we have achieved our objective that SDV is just not a three-letter word like ILU. It is something which is certainly becoming into the Indian market. It's already there, be it for paintings, be it in terms of 25 ECUs an average per car, be it in terms of people already updating the vehicles. But it's an opportunity. And just like the auto industry got rid of carburetor, I'm sure with constant discussions like this, it will master his DVs. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much. This was such a brilliant think tank, and the clouds have been very meek. Can we have a louder round of applause for them? Thank you so much. And it's time for the representatives of Madhu's Garage Equipment, Skoda and Volkswagen to please come on stage to felicitate this wonderful, brilliant think tank. Can we have them quickly here on stage? Lovely. Okay, so let's begin with S. Muralidharan, sir. Sir, please step forward. Yeah. Can we have someone from Skoda? Okay. Anyone from Volkswagen? Okay, no. Okay, we have to do it with you. Sir. He's more than happy to do it. Look at his smile, lovely. In the center, yes. Next, let's bring forth Dr. Kumar Iyer. So please be ready and step forward. with the absolutely lovely warm smile that you carry with you all the time. Thank you so much. Time to give you Mr. Satish Kannan. Sir. Next, I happily bring forth Mr. Arindam Lahiri. Sir. Next, let's bring Mr. Jatin Tiwari forward. Sir. And last but certainly not the least, Mr. Dimple Mehta. So please step forward. Many congratulations to all of you, and thank you so much yet again for taking the time out on this wonderful Saturday morning, afternoon. And please step forward for a group photograph. No. Lovely. And ear-to-ear smile is a mandate here. Yes, wonderful. And you're such a lovely warm audience. You're doing it already even before I said it. Thank you so much for this brilliant think tank to take the time out and be with us here today.